Long before the days of big comic book properties like Spider-Man and the Avengers, a little film called The Crow was released. Starring Brandon Lee, son of none other than legendary martial arts figure Bruce Lee, The Crow astonished comic book fans with its beautiful, gothic visuals and emotionally potent storyline. It became so popular that it ended up starting a franchise. Cut to the 2020s, where the geniuses who run Hollywood decided to dig their claws into the property and release a more modern version of The Crow. And it's definitely angered the internet.
When someone dies, a crow carries their soul to the land of the dead.
Talk about bad taste.
But is all the hate warranted? Well, welcome to yet another episode of Round the Clock Frights. My name is Josh, and yeah, The Crow reboot, starring the less muscular Skarsgård brother, has already gotten some flack among comic book fans. Some are calling it a disgrace to the franchise, others are saying it just looks really, really lame. Well, I want to give the film a chance because I'm not one to judge films by their critical reactions. I want to form my own opinion, so I'll probably end up seeing this movie, but there are definitely some red flags, and today I'm going to go over all the reasons why I think The Crow 2024 looks really, really lame. And guys, if you like what you see here, please subscribe to my channel Round the Clock Frights for more horrific content. Anyway guys, let's get started. So in the original, we didn't really spend any time with Eric Draven before his death. I mean, right at the start of the original Crow, he's already dead. I recently watched the original Crow for the first time, and that kind of threw me off. I thought we were going to get more of his backstory before he became the Crow, but no, we actually learn about Eric through other characters. There's this little girl who he essentially helped raise. This little girl, tells the cops how amazing of a human being he was, and we learn about him through other characters, and it makes him seem more like a mythical figure, kind of like an urban legend. So when he finally does come back from the dead as this vengeful, violent ghost, yeah, it just makes the character all the more amazing. But in this new version, it looks like we're going to spend a bit more time with him, before he gets his powers. We're going to see, how his life starts out, and he's this lone outsider who falls in love with a kindred spirit, and, the drill. He loses her to some tragic event. A generic hero origin story, loved one gets slaughtered, hero comes back for revenge, and... Oh, sorry. This is such a formulaic storyline that we've seen in numerous other properties like The Punisher, various incarnations of Batman, and even Mad Max. They all follow this formula, a formula that's become a bit more tired and predictable. So I'm not saying that this is how things are going to play out, but they've already shown a lot of Eric's backstory in the trailer, so I'm guessing this is how the narrative is going to be structured, and to be honest, I don't like that. Like I said in the original, we learn more about Eric throughout the course of the film. We see flashbacks to his original life before he became the Crow, and that just made the overall story more engaging. We weren't spooned everything, right up front. We had to discover it for ourselves. So, yeah, the plot, it looks pretty basic and generic. Okay, so this reboot just reeks of Hollywood cluelessness, and I was actually talking to someone on Instagram about this. They were saying that when Hollywood was making this film, they were probably thinking to themselves, what's popular with the teenagers nowadays? What are the young people into these days? Let's see what's really big right now. Well, the John Wick movies are popular, so, let's do that. John Wick is the big thing right now, so let's do that, but let's put the main character in a bunch of Hot Topic merchandise. That'll get the teens all excited, in which, by the way, the character looks utterly ridiculous, and the design of this new Crow, it's just a perfect representation of modern Hollywood thinking. We have to go bigger, just cover him in tattoos. That'll get the point across that he's goth, We gotta, make him look really, really goth and just, but just because you can go bigger doesn't mean you can also do it better. Eric Draven had a much more simple design in the original film. The long, greasy black hair, the white face paint, the black leather outfit, boom. This new Crow looks like someone who's desperately trying to appear goth, so he overcompensated by covering his body in tattoos and gothic symbols, and honestly, it just screams of committee thinking. And honestly, I don't blame Bill Skarsgård. Bill Skarsgård could be a really good Crow. I mean, this is a tremendously talented actor. I really enjoyed him as Pennywise the Clown in the It movies, and even in John Wick Chapter 4, which, by the way, another John Wick connection, he had a very menacing presence as the main villain in that movie. So I think he could actually do this type of role very well, but the filmmakers aren't doing him any favors. I'm sure he'll give the role his all, but honestly, an actor's performance should speak for itself, not an overblown, distracting character design. It's just a tremendous mistake, and in the case of The Crow, simple is better. They definitely went overboard here, and yeah, it just looks, like I said, just really ridiculous. Okay, so I'd like to compare the visual styles of both films for a minute. So the 1994 Crow was a visually captivating gothic feast, filled with disorienting camera angles in dim, grungy environments. You know, it literally looked like a graphic novel come to life. It was grainy and disgusting, and it just made you feel gross. It was very noir, and the cinematography was just astounding in the 1994 film. This new version, it just looks like every other action film we've gotten since John Wick, to the point where it even looks like a generic John Wick clone. And even though it tries to pull off a dark look, it still looks a bit too glossy and polished, and overall just kind of fake. It's honestly a problem I have with many modern Hollywood films. They just always look too clean. Not enough grit and grime. I watched the trailer for Wicked recently, you know, the adaptation of the Broadway musical, and even though on the surface it looked beautiful, it just made me feel very sick because it just looks so clean and just flawless and just so glossy, and it still looked just gross. I don't like the visual style of this new film, and to be honest, you can still make a modern film look really grungy and disgusting. Look at 2022's The Batman. I mean, in that film, Gotham City just looked really just run down and dirty, and honestly, The Batman looked more like a Crow movie than this new Crow does. So yeah, I mean, filmmakers can still pull off this visual look, but so many modern Hollywood films just look so clean, and they just lack soul. And also, in the trailer, CGI crows, really? I mean, come on. I mean, you know, to the trailer's credit, it does contain some gore and bloodshed, but violent content means nothing if you don't have the visual style to back it up. And The Crow should look like a beautiful gothic painting, but this new film looks like a soulless AI painting, and that's a huge, huge problem. Now, are there any more positive things I can say about this trailer? There were a couple of decent moments. There's this one shot where Bill Skarsgård just emerges from this bloody pool of water. That was a pretty decent looking visual. You know, like I mentioned earlier, I mean, there are some bits of gore and bloodshed. You know, some characters get shot. I mean, the character The Crow gets shot in a couple of instances. So they're definitely going for that hard R, which I can kind of commend them for. But here's another thing that kind of worries me. So, honestly, I'm just worried that the executives are going to just tear this film apart. You know, like with the 2016 Suicide Squad. You know, when we got the original trailer for David Ayer's Suicide Squad, it looked dark and just visually grim. But of course, Hollywood panicked and re-edited it to be, you know, more fun and enjoyable. I'm worried they're going to do the same thing with The Crow. They're just going to, like, dismantle this movie piece by piece, and they're going to rearrange it into a completely unrecognizable product, and it's going to end up very disjointed and rushed. And yeah, I definitely have some concerns in that area. But yeah, guys, those are my thoughts on why the 2024 version of The Crow just looks so lame. Those were all my fears. You know, like I said, this film definitely has some red flags. You know, there are things to legitimately criticize, but This is only the first trailer. I mean, who knows? They could impress us with future trailers, although the hate for this movie is already so strong that I think it's going to be rather impossible to change some fans' minds, but we'll see. They could end up surprising us, or this could end up being yet another god-awful comic book film like, say, Madam Web or Morbius, two quote-unquote masterful comic book releases we've gotten in the past couple of years. But yes, guys, what are your thoughts on this new Crow? I mean, I would love to hear what you guys think. Fans of the original Crow movie, do you think they're gonna end up serving us a heaping pile of trash? Does this look like a disgrace to the original? Are they doing a disservice to Brandon Lee and the entire crew that worked on the original? Sound off down below. I would love to hear your guys' thoughts because, people have some very strong feelings towards this version of The Crow, and let's try to remain civilized here. I mean, this is a safe space for horror fans, but definitely shout out your opinions, guys. I would love to hear them. But yes, thank you so much for joining me in my discussion of the 2024 reboot of The Crow. Not one of my more anticipated movies of the year, although I am marginally interested in it because I liked the original well enough. I didn't love it. There are comic book films from the 90s that I love more, including Jim Carrey's The Mask. That film is top tier. I love The Mask.
It's party time! P-A-R-T. Why? Because I gotta!
Also, Wesley Snipes' Blade. That film just kicks so much ass. Anyway, guys, if you liked what you saw here, please subscribe to my channel, for more content. I have some more scary videos in the works. And again, guys, thank you so much for, your support. My channel has finally reached 1,000 subscribers, and this is something I've been working towards for a long, long time, and I couldn't have done it without my horror family. So thank you so much again, guys. Have a very scary day, boils and ghouls, and, pop in the original version of The Crow, if you feel up to it. I mean, we'll always have that film. Nothing's going to take that away from us. So, yeah, even if this new film does turn out to be rather terrible, at least we'll always have the original to hold on to. Thank you again, boils and ghouls. Take care.